So, welcome to this week's vlog. Sorry it's so late, I have had such a busy day that I've literally filmed this, edited this, and then got it up. Ideally, I would have loved to have done this without editing, but there are some books I don't own, so I have to put the pictures up. The stresses of life. So, to start out with, last week when I did my wrap-up, I was currently reading I See You by Claire Mackintosh. I do have the physical copy, but I'm not entirely sure where I've put it. I think it's on my shelf, but it's a lot of effort to actually have a look for it now, so I didn't. But I absolutely loved this book. It was so fun and so interesting, and it hooked me from the start. So much so that Claire Mackintosh is now one of my Insta-buy authors. 100%. She doesn't have that many books out, but the ones that she does or that I have actually read, I want them, or I need them. They were fantastic. The two that I've read by her were amazing, and the rest that I don't actually own and have not read yet, I can't wait to read. So she's a fantastic Insta-buy author. I See You is about a woman that finds her photograph with some information and a website to go to in the newspaper, in the classified ads for like a dating website. Now, it's her picture, she hasn't put it there, and the next day she sees another woman and then another woman, and it starts this whole mystery of, is it just someone that looks like her, or is it something deeper? Has someone put that picture in there of her for a specific reason? And the plot that it followed was just so intriguing. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Great book, and she is now an Insta-buy author. Then the next book I finished was To All the Boys I Loved Before, which I really didn't think I would like because it's a romance. It was an audiobook that I listened to it on, and I loved it. I thought it was one of the best romances I've ever read, and I want to carry on with the series. I do have a dedicated Gush review which will be going up probably straight after this or maybe tomorrow, but I loved it, so please check out the review for that when that goes up, just to hear all of my thoughts on that. Then what did I read? Then I read Come Again, and that book, Come Again, is an art book. I'm going to tell you a bit about it because otherwise I'm going to get angry. Come Again is an arc book by British comedian Robert Webb, and it follows the story of a woman named Kate who has just recently lost her husband. He died from a brain tumour that he's had all of his life, and they didn't really know. It just got worse and worse, and he didn't realise until one day it killed him. And she is so hurt by this. She's so at a loss because she's lost the love of her life, and she is suicidal and depressed, and she decides to end her life. And then she wakes up back in the body of her 18-year-old self, and she meets her husband for the very first time again, and she decides this time she's going to save him. She's going to make sure that he gets the tumour checked out. And I loved that idea. It was amazing. The book is split into 3 parts. Part 1 is all of her sadness and depression deciding to end her life. Part 2 is her going back, and then part 3 is the after effects of that. And part 1 and 2 were amazing. It followed such an intricate storyline, and Robert Webb is a comedian, so I expected it just to be quite light-hearted and funny, and it was, but it was also so hard-hitting and deep, and I literally fell in love with the book. It was a definite favourite for me, and then part 3 happened. Now, I wanted to actually do a review for this book, but I decided against it because it's an arc book. I don't want to really trash it before it's had a chance to come out and had good reviews. So I decided not to. I'm just going to talk about it in this vlog. I'm not a big fan. Part 3 ruined it. It made me so angry because part 3 basically took the first 2 parts and chucked them out of the window and said, forget it. And it ruined it, and it made me so angry. And I'm not going to go into details because obviously part 3 is going to give away quite a bit of spoilers. But it basically it basically ruined my life. And it got so confusing because it made no sense. It's like he tried being different. He didn't want to be a cliche, so he tried being different, but he did it in the worst possible way. And I was so angry. Plus, there was also a second little plot thread that had no business being in the story. Like, there was literally no reason for it to be there other than to add a bit of action. I'm like, why do you need action in a romance? Honestly, if you fancy it, please give it a read. The storyline sounds really good, but just know that the ending for me ruined the entire book, and it actually went from being one of my favourites to a definite 5-star down to a 2-star just based on part 3 of the book. Just be aware of that. That is all I can say. Then the next book I read, do I have a copy of it? Yes, I did. The next book I read was The Stranger. Now, a review for this will be going up. I did a review for this on why it's a very good book, why this was such a good book, but I also preferred the TV show. So I'm going to be doing a review on why the TV show was better than the book. And not to say that the book wasn't good, because the book was really good. I gave it a 4-star rating. It was so good. I did this as a buddy read with Brooke from Brooke's Books, and it was great. I loved it. But there was just a few issues in the book that I didn't fully understand. Like, it wasn't necessary. And really, my main issue, which I think I'll talk about here because I know I'll speak about it in the review, but I do want to mention it, is The Stranger... Oh, I've not even told you the plot. Basically, the plot of The Stranger is that a stranger tells our main character, Adam Price, that his wife has been lying to him. The stranger approaches Adam, says, "Your wife has been lying to you. Here's the evidence that you need," and then disappears. And then the effects of that follow Adam. It follows Adam through confronting his wife, following all of the truth coming out, following the mystery surrounding all of that. And basically that's the plot. And my issue with it was, after the stranger approaches Adam and does this, pretty much on page 1 of the book, the stranger then becomes irrelevant. Like, that's literally it. Like, the stranger still appears throughout the book, but their role in Adam's life and the main story doesn't matter after that one instance. And it just think, well, you name a book The Stranger, I'd want more from The Stranger. And that didn't really happen. But I had a few issues with it. There's a dedicated review coming soon, so that's really all I'm going to mention about it. Now, this week, I am currently reading City of Bones, which is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. Now, I'm reading this as a buddy read with a book feed named Mel. I've wanted to read this for so long. I have been terrified of reading this because, quite honestly, it's become a book series that I've owned for years. I think I've owned it for about 5 years. And the first books, I think there was book 1, 2 and 3 that came out when I were in school. And I think I read the first book then, but I don't remember anything about it. And it's become one of them books that I now don't read out of tradition. Like, I just can't bring myself to do it. And I think I've built this book series up in my head so much because I keep saying I know I'm going to love it when I get round to it, that I'm too scared to actually read it in case I don't love it when I say I will. And also a lot of people have said that it's not great. The series as a whole is not great. Cassandra Clare is not one of the best writers. I have no opinions. I do not know. This is my first jump in. Now, I am on chapter 3, which is Shadowhunters, and I'm only 48 pages in, but already I really am enjoying it. I don't know if I'm going to love it, still a bit early, but up to now, I really am. There's a lot of mystery and a lot of intrigue coming straight in, and also, this book features a character who has blue hair, which has reignited my desire to dye my hair blue. Now, spoiler alert, my hair will not be dyed blue, because they had no blue hair dye when I went shopping. But still, that doesn't matter. I'm currently reading this. I don't know anything about it. I went into it blind, and I don't really want to read the back because I really like the idea of going into it blind because I don't know what to expect. So if you want to know more about City of Bones, just Google it, find it on Goodreads. And that is it for what I've read this week. There have been quite a good number of books, quite a good few ratings on the books, and then Come Again, which ruined my life, which I'm still not over, and I'm angry. But yeah, I'm not going to do a dedicated review. I'm just going to chill. So what I actually also want to do is give you a bit of an update on some books that I have hauled. Now, I wasn't going to, but I went shopping today and found books and hauled them. And I decided that I needed to share them because I need someone to yell at me and tell me to stop doing that. So, first book that I bought, not today, bought it on eBay, so it was fairly cheap, but still bought it on eBay, was... What was the book? Oh, it was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Now, I've watched the film to this. I don't know whether it's anything like the book, but I loved it and it was so emotional and I cried so much, so I had to get the book. So I've bought the book and it will be with me soon. Next, I also bought on eBay, thanks to Emma from Drinking by My Shelf, I bought the entire series of Unfortunate Events. I bought book 1 to 13 from eBay. Cost me £35, which is amazing for 13 books. Comes to like £2.50 a book, maybe even less, I don't know. My maths is great with a calculator. But they are on the way, so I'm super excited for them. I don't know where I'm storing these, but I'm so excited. And then I bought some books today. Now, I bought this book because of the recent hype. Also, it sounds really good. I say it sounds good, don't know anything about it, but I bought it for the hype. And I bought The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Now, as far as I know, this is about a... Is it a woman? Rowan. That helps, doesn't it? Yes. A woman named Rowan who basically takes a job as a live-in nanny. And basically shit goes down. And the child's dead. And she ends up she ends up in a cell awaiting a trial for murder. But she says she's made mistakes, but this was not one of them, which means somebody else did it. So it's following that story, and I really like the sound of it, and it sounds great. So hold that, because I got this book and my next book for 2 books for £8 or 4 books, or 2 books for £8 or £4 each. So I got this book on top of James Patterson, The Inn. Now, y'all know by now, I'm a JP lover. And this book is, I think it's fairly recently out. Again, don't really know anything about it. I love going into books blind. So if any of these books look interesting, then you can Goodreads them. It's very rare that I actually look at the back of a book. If I do, it's because I feel it's important or because quite honestly I have no intention of reading it anytime soon and I'll probably forget what the book is about. But I have this book and I love James Patterson, so it's going to go in my James Patterson shelf up there, and I love it and I can't wait to read it. And then the final book, which I got mainly because of Brooke from Brooke's Books, so, you know, thanks Brooke, check her out. I got this book, The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and it's very, in my head, just from the name of it and what it's about, it seems very reminiscent of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Now, I don't know. I know it's about, it says there, The Guest List, A Remote Island, An Invitation to Die For. Now, this book, I think, is about a wedding that happens on an island, and then it says by the time that they're cutting the cake, one guest is dead. And it just sounds really good, but the fact that they're stranded on an island and someone dies, it's very reminiscent of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which I absolutely loved. And this hardback book was £5 in Asda, so I had to buy that. So there are also the books I've hauled. So that is it from me. Thank you all for watching. I post every Monday, Wednesday and Saturday and then intermittently throughout the week. So until next time, see you later.